Hey y'all, it's your favorite nigga reader back with another video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications bell, and turn on that post notifications so that you get notified every time it's Biggie Pretty Plus Child as a mouthful calling styles really, but as a whole another story. Let's go ahead and get into this. So I want to talk about some things, in regards to the restaurant and the hospital. In specific, the hospital right now. So when I first got admitted into the ICU, I had it was a female nurse and the IV nurse. Those are the ones that helped change me. And the overnight nurse, it was a man. They kept having him do kind of like frivolous things on the low to get him out of the room as they helped change me. Because when you wear hospital gowns, you don't have anything underneath. He kept coming into the room, and then they would give him something to do to go out of the room. But the way the room was, it's like the room is here, there's a curtain here, but there was a window over in the left corner where you could see, and that's not covered. So he kept doing things to go outside the room, but then he would stand in that window and peer in, right? And the way I'm laying like this, if you peer in correctly, you could see what's happening down there. So then the IV nurse does my IVs, and then she leaves, right? And then the nurse who I thought the female nurse was my overnight nurse, because she's the one that took charge when I first came in. She's the one that was communicating with me and helped me undress, and I felt very comfortable with her. So I thought she was my nurse, and I thought that the guy who was my nurse was the I don't know what you call it, but like secondary nurse. Okay, I thought he was there just assisting. And then next thing I know, both the women leave. And then when they leave, it's just me and that guy. And then that's when the actual assault happened, when it was just me and him. And thinking back on it, it's not surprising considering how he was acting before it happened, and how he was kind of already being a bit of a predator and like prying on me and prying on me, I guess you could say, is um before it happened. Like, again, the female nurses that help changing me, and he's coming in and he's walking this way, like the only way to walk is to pass this way, but he's literally passing by the bottom as they're trying to help change me. And then again, they give him something to go and do out the room, so he kept trying to um quote unquote, get a peek before things were taken further, when it was just him and I. And at that point, when it was just him and I, I'm already hooked up on IV, so I can't really do much with this arm. I can lift it, but there's not much I can do with my left arm because I have an IV in my hand and an IV in the middle of my arm. It's like, and then two, he's a man and he's bigger than me, and I'm laying here feeling vulnerable on oxygen. Trying to figure out what's going on in my body, because I'm already having a really bad allergic reaction. So much so that it sent me to the ICU. So, I don't think that it's okay that nurses could be so predatory. Because my thing is, I said something outside of like me feeling uncomfortable and me being assaulted. I said something because I'm like, well, I was aware, like I'm conscious, but some people in the ICU aren't. And I'm like, if you're doing this to me, and I'm literally physically looking at you and literally letting you know I'm feeling uncomfortable, and you continue to do this, think about the person who's in a coma or something in the ICU, and you're doing this. Who knows what you're doing to them if they're unconscious? So that was those two things were the reason that I said something. And then for another nurse, and a female nurse at that, to get mad that I said something, it's like, well, ma'am, you weren't there, you don't know how uncomfortable I felt. And literally to the point where I didn't sleep. I had been up all day. Okay, I'd been up all day, went out, my body's going through a lot, I'm having an allergic reaction, this and then, I'm hooked up to all this stuff. And I want to say I got up maybe at like around 7 or 8 that morning, and I didn't go to sleep until 7 a.m. the next day. So I was up for a full 24 hours. That's how uncomfortable I felt with that man, because it was just me and him. And guess what he did after the assault? He went and he stood and he just stared at me through that window. again, where my legs are, it's just my gown. You know what I mean? So I'm, pulling everything up. And that's the reason I even started recording. It's like, okay, yes, things happen with me, vlogging or whatever, like at the restaurant, etc. But I started getting footage of, okay, this is getting a little hectic. I'm in the ICU, so I'm, recording myself with the oxygen. It's like, and then like this man is making me feel uncomfortable, and then he's also saying things about, hinting at you can't trust the people in the hospital, like, and I'm like, well, you're saying I can't trust people in the hospital. I know I can't trust you. Like, what's happening? So I started like trying to record things because I'm like, something's not okay here. Something's off. So, and then because of that is why I feel like the hospital tried to forcibly release me when they told me that they were having me. They discharged me from the ICU to a regular level of the hospital, and then when I was first told that, I was told that I was going to be, admitted to a regular level of the hospital because that's where you go for longer stays. Well, as soon as I got there, within not even a couple of hours, within an hour, they tried to release me. At this point, I'm already having issues with the left side of my body. But what I really think it was the fact that I said something and an investigation was already open. When I got admitted to the regular level of the hospital, the investigation was already open. So I think they wanted me out of the hospital because I feel like they felt like anybody who was helping me while in the hospital, were going to be watched very closely um, because of the investigation. So they wanted me out, but not realizing that that was even more of a big mistake than the medicine induced stroke that I had already had. Because now you guys aren't adhering to my needs of things that you have now caused. Yes, you guys were doing things to try to help with the anaphylactic shock that Ramanaji caused, but you guys did give me a medicine induced stroke, allegedly, right? So now that's fault on y'all. Even though y'all were trying to help, that's fault on y'all. So you guys forcibly releasing me is where the medical negligence comes in. And we'll get into that in a second, but that's where the medical negligence comes in. And I think that that's messed up because you guys caused me to be paralyzed on the left side of my body. You immediately let me know you guys didn't care about my needs as a patient, didn't care about my, concerns as a human, and just sit me out to try to figure out how I was going to take care of myself. You guys didn't give me a wheelchair, didn't give me a walker, didn't give me any type of assistance, no help. Literally, the Lyft driver had to carry me to my front door. And I told you guys I lived upstairs. So it's just like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, pretty much they were just like, okay, we'll call a family member. And it's like, but I've already explained to y'all inside the hospital, I'm not close to my family. So what do you mean call a family member? Like, you know what I mean? And that's where the gaslighting starts. Because it's just like, how do you, if you already know I'm not close to my family, why would you tell me to call a family member? So when I got picked up again, because a hotel wouldn't accept me with the condition that I was in. And I had no assistance. I didn't have a walker, I didn't have a wheelchair. So they were like, absolutely not. So I had to go back to the hospital, and I opted to go to a different hospital because I didn't want to go back to where I was already having issues. And I talked to, the paramedics, and, they were agreeing, but then at the same time, they were like, well, these are the people that caused the issue, so they have to be the ones to fix it. And it was just like, okay. So that's why I ended up back there. And then there again is where they refused to, Karen told everybody, that I was staying there because I was homeless, that I, she's the one who denied me any of the medicine that the doctors had approved for me, like the pain medication. I believe it was morphine. That's how bad the pain was, that they had me on morphine, like multiple, not just a one shot of morphine, like multiple days. I was on morphine almost the entire time I was there. That's how bad my pain was. And even while being on morphine, I could still feel the pain. That's how bad the pain was. It's like, and then she told people not to feed me, so I didn't, not to help me, not to feed me nothing, so I didn't eat for 15 hours. And I was being kind, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be the one to lift me up, because, she was an older white woman. Not that her being white has anything, but she was an older woman, and, they have to lift. And I was just like, well, I want you to protect your back. And then she got mad and again retaliated, because then her back was hurting. And it's like, well, I told you that. That's why I asked you to go get someone else to help you lift me to be able to go use the restroom. So you're mad about the retaliate. You're mad about, me saying something about the investigation. Now you're mad at me about your back hurting, and then further retaliation. So again, then no